expect that historically important decisions will be taken to grant the candidate status to Ukraine and Moldova, because Ukraine is fighting for its freedom, because Ukraine is, this is my opinion, fully respecting all the European principles and values, and they are fighting not only for the freedom of Ukraine, they are fighting for the freedom of democratic world. Baltic countries and my country, Lithuania, is really keen supporter, and we were from very beginning the keen supporter of the candidate status to Ukraine. And I think this political support is very important for the fighting spirit of Ukrainians. They are very brave, they are very effective in fighting against the aggressor, but they need political support. They need economic, military support too, and this is the least we can provide to them and to continue this heroic fight for freedom. So I expect that it will be a happy day. For me, I am new man in politics, and you know, not everything I like in the politics, but probably is worth to be politician thanks to such events as we are approaching this evening.
Prime Minister, the ENG has said that Europe should be ready for a full shutdown in terms of gas flows from Russia. Is this the information that you're also receiving, and are you concerned about what this might mean for the European economy?
You know, I just could give the example of Lithuania. We were fully exposed to the Russian energy resources 20-25 years ago. But we understood that this is not a right way to go. We started to prepare and to stop this blackmailing and manipulation of Russia. Now we are the first country to cut off all the ties and energy supply from Russia. Gas, oil and electricity. So for us, the threats like we will disconnect you from the electricity grid or we will stop to supply the gas to you, those are not senseless to us, because we are ready, and we are ready to take alternative resources, alternative ways to satisfy our needs. But of course you have to do this, these preconditions or this preliminary work in order to be resilient. And I wish to my friends and to my colleagues in European Union to do this as soon as possible, to let any illusions about possible changes of Russian behavior aside. And then they will bear the fruits sooner or later.
But some of them are restarting coal as a source of energy, and this could have implications for the climate targets. Isn't that a risk, Prime Minister, that we're putting climate policy in second place?
I don't think so, because sometimes we talk about contradiction between our climate change goals and our efforts to reduce the dependence on Russia. But again, if we switch to the example of Lithuania, our efforts to reduce our dependence on energy resources from Russia means also energy efficiency. And energy efficiency means lower consumption of energy, speaking generally. At the same time, we try to satisfy our needs by curbing and by stimulating the renewables in the country. So in my eyes, it's possible to complement or somehow to solve these two issues at the same time. And we are one of the most ambitious countries in the world and in Europe by having very big plans to increase the share of renewables in our energy balance. Sorry? Okay, I can talk that probably there are only a few countries in Europe which were not threatened by Russia recently, yes? Lithuania is among them, but the story is very simple. We just implement the fourth package of sanctions which were imposed in March, with a certain transitional period, which is currently expiring. And Lithuania is not introducing our own sanctions or national sanctions. We are just respecting the rules set by European Union, and we are implementing the sanctions according to these rules. Yes, there is a need probably to set those rules more precisely. But even after this, we will continue to implement the sanctions according to European Union rules. So this is not a bilateral issue between Lithuania and Russia. This is the issue of European Union and Russia. Yes, I would expect the solidarity from the side of my colleagues. I will raise this issue tonight at the discussion. And of course, it's very important that European Commission shows the solidarity with my country, and all the colleagues express the same solidarity with my country. This is very important to us. And there were already some statements made by Giuseppe Borrell, which were very timely, very effective, and I think we are able to calm down the situation and just go back to the normal life. This is a very complicated issue, you know. Of course, I remember the history of my country. One time we were together with Poland in one Commonwealth of Poland and Lithuania, and one of the main elements of our political system was so-called liberum veto right. One deputy in the parliament had the right to just to say no, and you cannot take the decisions. We have like liberum veto situation in the European Council regarding the foreign policy issues. This is good for smaller countries to have the right to decide on very important issues, but sometimes, of course, it makes the decision-making very, very complicated. I would prefer to continue to have this system we have now because of above-mentioned reasons.
What is your recommendation to Ukraine once, let's suppose we grant the candidate status? What is your recommendation?
Ukraine is destined to win this war, and we strongly believe, and Lithuania will always be a side of Ukraine, but they need to implement reforms too. And you know, I visited last time Kiev several weeks ago together with my colleagues from Poland and the Baltic countries, and I saw the phenomena which encouraged me very much. They are fighting. At the same time, they are reconstructing the buildings, reconstructing the cities, reconstructing the infrastructure. And it shows that probably there are no countries which could dominate over Ukraine, because this nation is very strong. And I strongly believe that they are able to implement the reforms which are necessary. Yes, you know that there are some preconditions in order to make this dream of the membership or in European Union true. And those preconditions are related to judiciary reform, the oligarchization of the country, anti-corruption fight, and many issues which are important for Moldova, for Georgia, and for everyone too. And I strongly believe that having such leadership in Ukraine, having effective government and parliament, they are able to solve these issues and to go forward. This is very important. Unfortunately, I have to go to the meeting.